Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Bodcast. This is episode 4 and we're still both here. Carrie and Ian.
Hello.
Hello. I've already said hello. Anyway, right, so this week's episode, the question we are posing today is, can a Lego city with only sets still be a great city? So you see a lot of Lego cities where people put their own stamp on it and create their own builds. But you also see a lot of Lego cities where it's just all the Lego modulars lined up in a row.
Yeah.
Are they both good? Discuss.
So, I think you kind of get into the situation where you'll hear someone who makes a city which is completely mocked. So obviously, Jang is probably the most famous for that. His city
is 100% mocks.
Is 100% mock. So everything's a mock. And I don't think I've ever heard him say this, but other people who get into mocking and stuff, they'll say, I wanted my city to be different. I didn't want it to just be a row of modulars. And that's it. And that seems to be the kind of attitude that you get from all of them. It's the just a row of modulars. It's as if a row of modulars can't be interesting. And I don't think that's true. So I think you take a row of modulars, you move them around a bit, you add in scenes, you add in cars, and it suddenly looks very different to everyone else's.
Yeah.
So I don't think there is just a row of modulars out there. I think everyone's is different. They've done something different with it. Whether that's adding extra scenes onto the rooftops or, even what they're doing with the road outside. Is it facing? Is a double width road down the middle of the train tracks? What's going on with the city? So even just looking at the modulars, you get quite a lot of variation there.
Yeah, and we've got all the modulars, and there's a lot of creative process in deciding where you put them and how to arrange them. We've spent ages trying to nail down the correct location for them all that works for how we want our city to be. Not the right one, because who's to say it's the only way you can do it? We've seen others that have done it other ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, even that is a lot of work and a lot of decision process. And then, you fill it out with more of your personality. So... Yeah.
But I kind of get the thing that a lot of people, and I can't remember who said it, but there was definitely a YouTuber out there who talked about, taking their city to the next level by introducing MOCs. And that's how a lot of people seem to think about it. It's building the sets, that's kind of the intermediate level of Lego. You've put them together into a city. Now to take it to the next level, you have to have MOCs. And I'm not sure it makes a better city in all cases.
Well, no, if you are a subpar mocker...
That's true.
Then you end up... A mocker, it's like a hot chocolate type thing. You end up with a worse city because of it, because you're suddenly not building anything that looks good.
Yeah.
But you feel like that's the only way you can move forward. Just out of interest, what's the basic level?
Just building sets by themselves.
Oh, so building sets by themselves, then building sets to make a city.
Yeah.
And then you have to add in your own design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's rubbish. Yeah. I think that's a stupid way to see it progressing.
Yeah.
Anything you're doing that is creative or makes you happy and reflects your personality, that's the point. You have to put your own stamp on a city.
Yes.
So yes, putting the modulars in the row of the order that they were created and doing nothing else, boring.
Yeah.
But no one does that.
No.
No one does that.
But I think there's also a weird thing about what someone counts as a mock.
Yeah, so you've got remocks, which
So,
is taking an existing set and tweaking it. You've got mocks where you've created something. The true definition of a mock is creating something from your own head.
Yeah. But someone will say, oh, I've mocked this. And what they mean there is they've made some minor alterations.
That's a remock.
Yeah.
Or is that...
I think that's a mod.
That's a mod. Yes, that is a mod.
But you'll hear it all the time with dollhouse style sets. And they'll go,
yeah.
oh, I've mocked it into a modular.
No, you
and
just
they've
put
just
back
put
on it.
2 back to back,
Yeah.
basically.
That's
so,
not a mock. You're not really creating anything in that.
No.
scenario.
But so I think, as an example of this, you've got Robin Hood bricks. He very much started off with sets.
Yeah. And he would tweak them.
He would tweak them, but they were largely sets. And I think, and then as he's progressed on, he's gone more and more into MOCs. And some of them look nice. I wouldn't necessarily say they look nicer than
Sets.
the actual Lego sets
Yeah.
that you can get, but they do look nice. But it slowed down his content a lot. He is filling the city a lot slower because he's doing the MOCs. And I still think my favourite thing that he's done is turning the Destiny's Bounty into a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, that was a great one.
You know, so that's an example of taking a set.
It was
making some
already
small-
amazing.
Yeah.
Great set.
Making some small tweaks to it and coming up with something unique.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I hope our city ends up as.
Yeah, I think that's the level that I feel like I can play at as well. Like, we've just been watching Lego Masters and you're like, right, it's the final, you can build anything you want, what are you going to build? And I'm like, whatever the instructions say, because that's the stage in my Lego career that I am at. Yeah. I like to follow the instructions and I like the pictures on the box. I think that Lego do a great job designing these things, and why would I change it? But there are some times when I think, actually, I'd like it to be slightly different.
Yep.
And
you'll get that because, you know, some sets are aimed, when they're aimed at a particularly young age range, they're using a lot of big parts and it can end up looking very blocky. So you might want to add in some extra details just to give it a bit more shape.
Some greebling.
Some greebling.
Love that word. Yeah.
It's interesting because obviously, you know, I watch mockumentary and sit there mocking along to it. But the first big kind of, I don't even know if I count it as a mock, but the first big thing that I did was the coral reef.
Yeah.
But I never meant that, I never went, I want to have a mock of a coral reef in the city. I went, I think the Silent Mary looks like a really good shipwreck.
How can I support that?
Yeah, I need something to support it. And we got the submarine, and we got the boat which has the shark cage that you can lower down. So it was, right, so I want to create an environment for those sets to go.
And that's always been my thoughts as well, is that I have all these sets I really love. Can I create a world where they exist together in a cohesive sort of fashion?
And so I think, and I mean, even within the coral reef, I've used a shipwreck from one set. I've got a couple other bits that have come in from other sets, and then I've used the flowers from the bouquet to make coral reef structures. I don't know what you call them.
Extra underwater type things.
Yeah. So it's about getting the Lego sets into the city. And the current mock that I'm working on is the museum mock.
But that is purely to house another set that we really want to put in the city that we can't think of a way to put
It's the Lego Ideas dinosaur fossil sets, which I think, is that retiring or has retired?
I think it's retiring
soon.
About now.
But that set I really liked and went, how do I get it into a city? And so the way was, well, if I build a museum around it...
Yeah, it fits.
Then it fits. So again, the mock is there so we can include...
Yeah, to complement the stuff we already have and like in a way that it makes sense for the city. Yeah. It's madness, though, that some people were very narrow-minded about how it has to be.
Well, this is it. You get down to... and it's not just, I only include mocks. There's then people who will only include Lego sets. You've got, I don't know whether some people will even turn their nose up at the Bricklink invitational results.
Really?
Are they actually Lego sets? Do they deserve a space in their city? Or is that they've not been designed by Lego, therefore they can't go
But then
in.
if you look at all the stuff on Rebrickable, some of those are amazing builds.
Yeah.
Like the treehouse. I really love the treehouse. But I also really love the alternative build that's on there.
Yeah.
So that's still a great set. Why would you not put that in just because it's not been designed by Lego? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that treehouse one I saw earlier today, someone has sort of tweaked it to make it. You have the autumn leaves, but then you have the green leaves. But then they wanted a spring version, so they've added like loads of flowers onto it as well.
Okay.
And it looks really beautiful. Does that count as a mock?
I would count that as a mod.
A mod, okay.
But
that
I don't think there's any clear
still makes
definition.
a great city.
Yeah.
So I think you can have just sets in your city and it'd still be an amazing thing.
Okay.
I think a city in itself is a mock. I think we've talked about that before.
Yes.
The city as a whole suddenly becomes a mock. That's your creation.
Yeah.
No one else has done it the same.
The question is, can you make a good-looking city with the sets that are available to buy now?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So, without buying any retired sets?
Yeah.
Or, I guess you're starting from scratch, no backlog?
Yeah, no backlog. It's just, you've got as much money as you want to spend, but you can only spend it in the Lego store.
Oh. I kind of want to consult the Lego website to answer your question. I don't know. So what do you need in a city? So the modulars available. You've got the police station, the bookshop, the corner garage, and Assembly Square. So you could do a good street.
Yeah.
I guess you've got all the sort of the new city sets that came with the road plates, so you could create a scene there.
Yeah. You've got the Ninjago Gardens.
Yes, but you obviously wouldn't be able to have the docks or the city. I mean, that's kind of what Lego are expecting to happen. They're aiming for young kids to pick up some sets and start building a city. What is a city? How big does it have to be? Can you put 3 sets together and say, look at my city? I think if you're a sort of 10-year-old, you can.
Yeah.
I think as an adult fan of Lego, you'd probably want a little bit more. But
Yeah.
Is Barracuda Bay still on sale?
I believe so.
Because that gives you like a interesting ship element.
Yeah.
And if you can't get that one, you can still get the 3-in-1 pirate ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've obviously got Diagon Alley. That's quite a lot of buildings as well. If you wanted. Yeah, it depends. And if you're going for a theme to your city, so if you're going for like a Harry Potter theme, then you've got all the Harry Potter sets that connect together. Do you count those as cities?
Not really.
Because they're not.
It's more one big castle that you're building,
that's
isn't
true.
it?
Well, not now. You've got Hogsmeade, I guess. But do you think it's possible?
I'm just wondering if there's anything that you'd kind of feel that you're missing.
Really lacking.
So, for example, train station. I don't think they currently have a train station available.
Is the Disney train not still available?
Oh yeah, I suppose yes. I was thinking about because they're trains at the moment. I don't think any of them come with.
No, you've got like the cargo train and the passenger train, but there's no station element to those, and they haven't always had a station, I guess, on sale.
No,
I don't think they've done that many stations, have they?
they've done a few over the years.
I'm visualising them, but I have no idea if actually those are real sets or whether those are mocks that people have put together, because we spend so long looking at other people's work, and we're not always aware of where they've changed things up.
Yeah, and I think at the moment they've not got anything really hospital-y.
Got a Lego Friends Hospital.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, so you could add some colour into your city. But then the scales all look wrong. If you try and add like the Friends sets alongside the modulars, that's why people mod things.
Yes.
To try and make it fit together a bit better.
Yeah, because you talk about minifig scale, but actually there's a huge degree of variation in what people consider minifig scale.
Yeah, I think the modulars are big buildings, but you still can make the minifigures go around all the friend sets, and you'd still regard those as minifig scale because the minifig goes in. So they're completely different scales. And all the Creator 3-in-1s, those are all smaller scale.
Well, they're a smaller size. They're not necessarily smaller scale.
Oh,
but I feel Friends is maybe a slightly bigger scale.
So Friends, the mini dolls are like a centimetre? No, not a centimetre. So, some amount of studs taller.
Yeah.
So
that naturally heightens all of those buildings.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to work out if the Creator sets and the Friends sets are comparable in size.
Right.
Whether you could just skip the big builds and build yourself a small scale city. That's kind of what I wanted to do at one point when we didn't have all that space up in the Lego room. I was going to put all the big builds on the first table, then have a shelf with all the smaller builds and make a layered city. Maybe
almost a forced perspective kind of thing going on.
There's so many ways to be creative with Lego. Even if it is just putting two sets next to each other. I think that can still be creative.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to not alter a set and you're not going to add any scenes to it, then making a cohesive city would be a lot harder.
Yeah.
But then it's probably still a playable city for, like, if Leah was to go along and you just put all the sets together, she'd still have a whale of a time.
She would.
So
she'd destroy everything.
Yeah, but how much of it... So it's the audience. How much of it needs to be created and how much of it can you just imagine? And what's the... Like, which is the primary object of Lego? Is it to feed your imagination or is it to use your imagination to create something tangible that you can see?
What is the point of a Lego city?
It's fun. And it collects dust really well. If you're looking to collect dust, get a Lego city. I mean, don't question it. We're just doing it.
Yeah.
What's the point of any hobby? Why do people like...
But is it the building of it? Is it the displaying it? Is it the playing with it?
Surely it's the having something to think about and put your energy into. So it's all of those things. I don't know. For me, the Lego City is a good excuse for buying Lego.
Okay.
That's a good thing. And it...
But I'm sure we buy more Lego because of having the city.
No. Yes, we do.
And then you struggle because you want to buy sets that don't fit in the city, and so you're then...
I'm still just trying to justify an excuse for them, is what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Lego City then acts against you.
Because I don't feel like I can justify them. Yeah, it's tricky.
Because, I mean, there's... Going back to the scale thing, there's quite a... You know, the Friends apartment set.
The Friends as in the TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is minifig scale.
Yes.
But it's massive compared to any apartment in any of the modulars.
Yes, because it's detailed and it's got all of that stuff inside. Whereas a modular, it's like little studio apartments, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how do you make those two coexist? And I'm really struggling with that one still because I really want that set. But I have no idea where we're going to put it.
No.
Can you modify it down to not be as big? No, they just want to cram. They cram so much in. It wouldn't work. I think we need another Lego room.
That is what we conclude most times.
Yeah. So, have we concluded that you can have a perfectly good city and not do MOCs?
I think so.
Have we?
I think we've concluded that you can have a better city by just having Lego sets and no MOCs.
But you can also have a really good city and have MOCs.
Yes.
MOCs are not the be-all and end-all of a Lego City journey.
No.
And I think all those people who tell you differently are wrong, and just don't let them tell you that, because it makes you doubt your skill level, because it still is massively creative to take something and turn it into a cohesive city that you can spend forever in just getting lost trying to work out which bits are most fun.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of what I was getting to with what's the point of a Lego city, if what you enjoy is designing MOCs, then your Lego City is a way of displaying your MOCs and maybe focusing you slightly into going, oh, I now need a MOC of a hospital or of a police station or of a dock. So it focuses you into doing a MOC on that to fill that space. So the city doesn't need MOCs, but it's there to justify you wanting MOCs.
Everything about a city is there to justify more and more. Lego more and more.
Yeah. Whereas if you want your city just as a way to display the sets that you really like building, then those could be sets from Lego, they could be rebrickable things that you've bought, and your city is then displaying what you've built. If your city is because you want something where you can set up scenes and you can play with it, then, you just put in whatever sets you found and then play with it. You don't even care that much about the building side of it.
As in, buy sets already built?
Yeah. Okay, so we have concluded that if you enjoy MOCs,
do MOCs.
Then do MOCs, and you can put them into a city. If you don't enjoy MOCs,
don't do MOCs.
You don't need MOCs. You can still have a great city. It can still provide you with just as much joy and happiness. And it's still interesting for other people to look round.
Yeah.
It's interesting to look round the city and see where people have placed the buildings, what they've done with the scenes with the minifigures, how they've augmented some of the sets with other sets. So, yeah, I think you still get something interesting at the end of it.
I think all Lego is interesting.
Yes. Apart from Star Wars.
Apart from Star Wars. Yeah, and on that bombshell, I feel like that's probably a good place to lose half our listeners. So, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another podcast on we don't know what, because we just decide randomly. If you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're listening elsewhere, let us know where you're listening. Catch us on Instagram at the Bods and let us know that you're listening, because that way we know which platforms are getting listened to, and we're still trying to get it onto Apple platform.
Yeah.
Apple Podcasts, because it seems to be impossible.
And if you have any suggestions for topics that you'd like us to talk about, drop them somewhere.
Yeah, let us know
Instagram,
those.
YouTube, whatever.
And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.